you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
I'm Moses Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, there are at least things that makes it official. Welcome to the show. As always, we appreciate you guys tuning into the Chris Voss Show, being a part of it at all times, because without you, well, I'd just be a guy talking to the mic to some very interesting, educated, and smart people. And I'm the idiot with the mic, that is. And so refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, YouTube.com/Chris Voss, and all those crazy places on the internet. Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind. Today, an amazing young lady on the show. We're going to be talking about her book series called Rate and some of the family background that goes behind it and everything else. We're joined today by Ramona Hammel. We're going to get into it with her and find out some of the insights of the book she's written and the story she's told. Welcome to the show, Ramona. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you very much, Chris. And thank you for having me on.
Thank you for coming. We really appreciate having you. Give us your .coms or wherever websites or any place you want people to find you on the interwebs.
It's Ramona, DGSbooks.com.
So, Ramona, give us a 30,000 overview of the first book in the series called Rate. And if you want, feel free to expand on naming the other three if you'd like.
Okay. Yes, what it is, it's a book about my family tree. It starts out with 3 generations of Setteringtons. And starts out on the night that the youngest one is born. His name is Rate, or Ralph Setterington, as he's known. And the thing is, the older generation, the grandma and grandpa, are Horatio and Lavina Setterington, and they're fairly wealthy, well-to-do businessmen doing well in the small town of Elsie, Michigan. And it's the night that he's born. Well, the thing is, his parents, though, his mother vowed that she would never love him. And so this poor little boy is born into a family that his mother vows never to love him. He has an older sister, Blanche, who says, I don't want him as a brother. You can feed him to the pigs, because she did not like him. And his grandparents didn't actually like boys. They preferred girls. And his dad, the only reason he wanted a boy was, of course, to carry on the family name. And then he wanted a son to help out on the farm. So that's why he wanted a son. So when you think about it, here's this little boy who's born into this family that so far it looks like not anybody's going to really like him.
Oh, wow. What a way to grow up. Now, who is this person in relation to you and your family?
So, Ralph Setterington is my grandpa. And then, so there's then Milford and Elmina, my great-grandparents, and then my great-great-grandparents, Horatio and Lavina. And so, actually, my great-grandpa, Milford, he names his son Ralph, but he calls him Rate after his dad, because they didn't have the best relationship. And so he's thinking that by having a son and calling him Rate, that will help his relationship with his father. But in reality, it really didn't.
Wow. Now, you've written 4 books in the series. There's the first one called Rate that came out January 2023. There's A Lad Called Rate, and The Mischief Maker, and then Forever a farmer. So,
Right.
so you tell the story. Was the story passed down through lineage? What sort of research did you have to capture the data on the story of your relative?
Well, what's interesting about it, it really takes place, like I say, in mid-Michigan, and it's during the late 1890s is when my grandpa is born, and then it goes into the probably early 1920s. But what was interesting, my mom and I, and my brothers and sisters, we would go to my grandpa's and he would tell us stories of when he was a child. And that's what kind of spurred this on, because we loved listening to these stories and learning about my parents or my grandparents and my great-grandparents. And so my mom was the one, when we would go there, she'd take all these notes and write them down, and then together collected it and started writing the story so that it would be for her kids to remember her parents and her grandparents.
Ah, well, these stories need to be captured and written down so they can, someone can capture them and remember. Otherwise, they get lost in time.
Yes, they do. And we were very fortunate because, like I say, my mom was very interested in it and she wanted to preserve this. And like she said, this really, because they were farmers and they lived in a rural community, the community was very dedicated to each other and they really helped each other out. And that's what's portrayed in the story too, about how how the people came together as a community to help one another. And that's something that's kind of lost today, but it's kind of nice because we can see the difference of how this family grew up. And it really could have been pretty much anybody's family of how things were back then. And it's kind of neat because there's, what do I want to call them, colloquialisms that we use, that things you would say today, or just how things were done. And that's what I enjoyed about it too, about you go, wow, they had to do that, to get along in society. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, some of the stuff that they had to do for work and everything else, different society, of course, back then. You didn't have like social media and stuff. So let's get into the second book. What ages does the first book rate cover of the son?
So the first book rate, because it actually starts out, he was born December 18th, so it starts out the night he's born, and it's just showing the disappointment that his mother has finding out it's a boy, because she wanted a girl. And then when his sister comes home, because of course at that time, nobody could be around when a baby was born because they didn't know how that happened. So when she came home and then she found out it was a boy too, she's like, man, send him back. I don't want him. And then when the grandparents even come over, they're just like, oh, it's a boy. Here, they wanted a girl too. So it goes through it, maybe a little bit more of how the grandparents were and how his sister Blanche, her growing up, and how she treated him, because she, as a little child, she would pick on him and she would get him in trouble by saying, oh, well, Ralph did this, or Mom, look what Ralph's doing to me. And they would always take her side instead of Ralph's. And so it really is just part where, like I said, he's not real old in the first book rate. He maybe ends up being about 4 years old when that story ends. So then the next book, The Lad Called Rate, now it's getting a little more about him and about his struggles. Like he wanted a sled for Christmas and he's all excited. He gets the sled for Christmas. Wouldn't you think, oh, yay, I'm a boy, I get a sled for Christmas? It was used. His dad's like, oh, now you can haul wood. Now you can go down the mailbox and get the mail, because he was too short for the mailbox. So that way he could stand it. And so it ended up being more of a chore. It was something for work that's why he got the sled.
Well, so
it goes into more of that.
How old is he at the end of the book? Excuse me.
At the end of The Lad Called Rate, he's probably around 10-ish. And so it just shows too about how he had wanted, he wanted a dog one time. He wanted this puppy. Well, his parents wouldn't buy him the puppy. he had to earn it. He had to go pick strawberries, and he only got paid a penny for a quart of strawberries.
Oh,
and
wow.
and he had to have like, $5 worth of strawberries. And even though his mom is the one who sold them, and she sold them for like 8 cents a quart, she only gave him a penny.
Wow.
And then, and it's like, oh. But yet, like, his sister, oh my gosh, they lavished her with things. In fact, the grandparents for his sister said, oh, you're going to go to school in the city, in town in Elsie instead of the country school, because a country school isn't good enough for our granddaughter. And she has to have store-bought clothes. She can't have homemade clothes. And, that's right. And she's going to live with her grandparents in the house that he had built for his wife, where when Rate goes to school, he gets to go to the country school. He can wear the homemade clothes. That's okay. We don't care about Rate. So that's what kind of goes on in the lad called Rate. And in there, that's where he's he realizes that he doesn't mean as much as his sister does, and his parents, spoil her instead of him. And he was real excited the one time that this one aunt made him a polka dot shirt. And he was so excited that someone did something special for him.
Wow.
And then he had gotten a wagon for Christmas so that he and his dog, could go out. And again, though, the wagon was so that he could do chores and pick up wood to bring wood to the house. So
this poor kid, man. I mean, he dealt with a lot, but there are hard times back then.
He actually did.
Yeah, I mean, really,
he did.
It's crazy. So
the thing is, by the time, go ahead.
I was going to ask you about book 3. Do you want to move into book 3 yet, or
yeah? So
the Mischief Maker.
So what happens with the Mischief Maker? Now he realizes, he has the best friend. He realizes that his parents, okay, we use you for the work. We do special things for your sister. But once in a great while, he, like for his birthday one year, for his sister's birthday, she got a whole bag of oranges, and her birthday was in July. Well, Christmas time comes, he wants bananas because bananas is his favorite fruit. And his sister's like, they're not going to get that for you. And she's just mean about it. His dad did get him some bananas for his birthday, so he's pretty excited about that. But what he finds out now, he's like, okay, I have my friend, I've got my dog. I know my family isn't the wildest about me, but I'm going to do for myself. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to make life more exciting. So he kind of becomes, like I say, this little mischief maker in school. He does really well in school. The teacher likes him. But he's one of those that does the little spitball things and gets in trouble for shooting spitballs. Or like when the boys went swimming. Of course, back then when boys went swimming, no girls were allowed. So the boys went skinny dipping. But then what he would do is like tie the boys' clothes in knots, and then get them all wet. And so when the kids came out, and then it's hard to untie your clothes that are wet, right? Or things like that. Or another time in school, he brought frogs in school and put them in the girls' pencil boxes. So, of course, when the girls open up the pencil boxes, they're screaming because the frogs are jumping out. So he realizes that, okay, I can have fun and I can be myself and do something, even though maybe at home my life isn't the best.
Yeah, that's good, man. Survival of the fittest when you're under attack. Oh, man, dude, that's that's just what a thing. So then he eventually becomes a man, I guess, in the last book in the series, where he's forever a farmer, is the book title?
Yes. So what happens is, actually, they had to move to town, too, because they moved to town for his sister. They moved to the town of Elsie. And it's like, poor Rate, then he's like, wait a minute, what about me? And they moved to town so she can finish school there, and he has to go to school there. And then his dad actually buys a meat market. And so Ralph has to work in the meat market and go to school at the same time, where his sister, she never had to do that. She just got to go see friends and have birthday parties and go to tea parties and just have a good time. So now, like I said, now that he's older, but back then, I think they only went through like 8th grade. But anyway, he ends up then going, okay, his sister finally goes off to college too, which was not something a young woman would do. She went against the norm too. She's like, you know what? I don't want to be a school teacher and I don't want to get married. So she went off to college so that she became a secretary and then moved away from home. And so in the meantime, now again, Ralph is going, okay, it's up to me. And so now he graduates from school and he does well in school. And so he went on to college because he's like, maybe this farmer thing isn't quite the best thing to do. And he goes to school to become an accountant. And he's really good at math. He loves accounting. But then he really does realize in the end that, I like this, but to live in a small town, there's really not the work there. He'd have to move to a big city, and he didn't want to do that because his love for the country. He loved the farm life. He loved out there. So he moves back home. And so his dad then is like, okay, you take over the farm, you work the farm, and then we'll go from there. And then in the meantime, of course, he's old enough now that he meets this young girl and decides, hey, she's not so bad, and maybe I would like to date her and marry her.
So he marries her and starts his own life, and does his wife hate him after that, since all the women in his life have hated him so far? I mean, he's got a real bad rap with women.
Meantime, though. Yes, he has. He gets married and ends up with 3 kids, but he has 2 fairly soon. But the thing is, in the meantime, though, his dad now, the relationship with his dad, and actually even his mom in a sense, still never really gets better because, of course, they're like, okay, yeah, you got married. Yeah, you're doing that. But I don't like the way you're farming. I like the old way of farming. I don't want this new thing that you're trying to do, and you need to do it my way. So his dad, even though he let him live on the farm, wouldn't give him the farm or sell it to him. So now that's why he's now controlling what Ralph is doing.
It seems like were these people narcissists?
That didn't go over well.
Were these people?
I don't know. I know it sure sounds that way, doesn't it? Because the thing was too. So actually, to kind of back up a little bit, so Milford, Ralph's dad, he didn't get along with his dad either. His dad was one that, yeah, you're a boy, yeah, but you're not adding up to what I think you should be. And they honestly end up getting in a rift where they never talk to each other. They get so mad and angry at each other, and that really hurt Ralph. That his dad and his grandpa never talked again after that. Even because, what they did, they followed their daughter to California, and he was like, "Okay, so much, for you. I don't care." So anyway, so like I said, so here's Ralph trying to kind of get along with his dad, but then his dad almost treating him like his dad treated him.
Yeah. Well, he's not getting along with men or women. Down the line anyway. Yeah. That's unfortunate.
No, I know. Isn't that sad? The poor guy. I mean, he did have, like I said, he did have good friends. He was well respected. He ended up being a good farmer. But yeah, it was a tough thing. And then actually, even his sister finally gets married. And finally, once she gets married, and then she realizes too how his parents treated him after their grandparents die. She finally then realizes, oh, maybe my brother isn't so bad after all, and maybe he wasn't treated fairly.
Yeah, you think? Jeez Louise. Poor guy. I feel bad for him, man. I want to see a movie where he comes back as Rambo and kills everybody who ever affronted him.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, because it is really sad that
you drew first blood
after yeah, because after his the grandpa died, then, and like I said, here he is farming the land that his dad and his grandpa had owned that farm, but his dad is just like, nope, I'm not giving it to you. If you can buy it from me, but yeah, oh no, I'm sorry. He's like, I'm giving it all to Blanche. Even though you've lived on this farm, even though you've done everything, I'm going to give it all to Blanche.
Yeah.
So like I said, it was amazing how they just liked the girls in the family better.
Yeah, I had a similar experience in my childhood. I mean, my sister didn't have to do any chores, and she got lavished, and we were told that they didn't want a
Oh,
kid.
yeah.
So some of this rings a kind of a personal bell for me. Yeah, me and my
It's
brother, we
sad,
had to do chores all our life, and then my sister would do nothing, and we'd just be like, "This isn't fair." And
Exactly.
it wasn't. It was. I mean, whatever it was is what it was. So there it is. What do you hope your readers come away with when they read the book?
That's a good question. What we really liked was that the time, the era, the change in life. I mean, what they had to go through. Because when you think about it in the 1890s, that was a real opulent time for, many people. When you think about it, there's the trains. They go from, horse and buggy to automobiles. They get the telephone. They get radio. I mean, it's just really fascinating. And so a lot of that is in the book, too, about how, his first time, talking on a telephone, to his aunt up in Traverse City. It's like, how can I talk to you? And so it's really cool about that part of it, about the history of that. And so we really liked that. I love that part of it. And the thing is, again, it's one of those, I like to think that people will realize that, okay, even though we all have some issue in life, it's what you make of yourself. You can be an overcomer, just like my grandpa was an overcomer. Because when you think about it, he wouldn't have had to turn out like that. In fact, he had an uncle that didn't turn out so good. That is in the story too.
Oh,
but and that's what I hope that people go, you know what, really, it's nice to know that, you can persevere and you can move on and not let your circumstances control what you do.
It's a great lesson for people to learn and a great story of families. What do the other people in your family think about these stories?
Actually, my oldest brother was the one who really told my mom. He really encouraged her to write these stories because he goes, these are really interesting, and this will be something good that he could, because he was looking at it that he goes, that now I can pass it on to my children, and hopefully for generations to come that we will have these stories about this family. And what I like about, like I said, it's just kind of neat going, oh, here in Michigan, this really took place, and this was part of my family. I'm pretty excited about it. But yeah, my brothers and sisters are pretty excited about it too. They're all behind me about getting them published, and hopefully maybe making it into a movie or a television series would be fun.
Yeah, that would be fun, huh? Well, it's been wonderful to have you on the show. Any further books maybe from the series you're coming out, maybe about the rest of your family or other things you might be doing?
There might be. Actually, right now I'm kind of I haven't retired yet, and so I'm still a dental hygienist. Okay. And so I'm still working. So it's kind of been slow going, getting this all done between work and then do on the books and work and do that. Yeah. So, but we'll see. We might have another book.
You might have another book in there. So as we go out, give people a final pitch out to pick up the book and the series and all that good stuff, and any .coms or websites, social media you want them to check in on you.
Because like I say, my webpage is RamonaDGSBooks.com. Otherwise, there is Instagram, and is it X is another one they can look up and see on there too.
Well, thank you very much for coming by the show. We really appreciate it, Ramona. It's been fun to have you.
Oh, thank you, Chris.
And thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. And thanks, Smiles, for tuning in. Order the book wherever fine books are sold. It's entitled Rate, out January 18th, 2023. Thanks for being here. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next.
You've been listening to the most amazing, intelligent podcast ever made to improve your brain and your life. Warning, consuming too much of the Chris Voss Show podcast can lead to people thinking you're smarter, younger, and irresistible sexy. Consume in regularly moderated amounts. Consult a doctor for any resulting brain bleed.
All right, Ramona, this